contract with IDHS and is done through generating reports which pull the data that you have entered throughout time and to submit those reports in ISETS. IDHS staff will review the reports you submit. Reports are an indication of the services you are providing to customers, your agency's performance towards goals, and contribute to IDHS making data-driven policy and contract decisions. Future contract awards and appropriations may be determined by reviewing these reports. You must review your data, make any needed changes, and approve your final monthly reports by the 15th of the month. For example, September's report is due October 15th. In addition to monthly reports, quarterly reports are also due every third month. First, click on the Reports icon at the top menu bar. All available reports are listed individually, as well as the ISETS staffing and billing tools near the top. That's where we're going to start for our monthly staffing and billing. Select the blue text, which is a link that will open with filters at the top. Select your provider name, the month you'd like to report, and the program will automatically be selected for you. Click Filter, and your report will be loaded. If you change the staffing month back to Select, which is the default, it will select no particular month and load every month within that fiscal year. There you can see which have been submitted and which have been approved. Click on the Date link here. You'll first see the filters load at the top. If you want to go back to the previous list, click the Back to List button. That will load the staffing here, and you can click back into it by clicking the date again. You can then see at the top your grant expenditure year to date. The first section, titled Complete Staffing Packet, is where providers should begin. Click on the first blue linked report, the Employment Report. Click on Filter if the report doesn't load. Ensure that this information is all correct. Make sure that you've uploaded employment verifications for each customer if you have them. Then click Partner Review Complete. Then you can close this tab and go back to the Staffing and Billing module. Click on the next report titled Supportive Services Summary. Verify that all the data in this report is correct and complete it by ticking the Approved by Partner boxes on the left to ensure that each cost is included in the billing reimbursement. When you're finished, click the Partner Review Complete button. You can now close this tab and go back to the billing module. If you would like these tabs to reload, you can go back to the list and click on the date again. You can see that these checkboxes are automatically ticked. Go to the next report titled All Participants Who Received Benefits. This is the 4333 summary. This should be a list of all customers who received services during the month. Ensure that all of this data is correct. To do that, you must review the list, and if a customer is missing, go to that customer's record and ensure that they have an accepted referral, are currently enrolled in a program, have an ENT status that is active or indicates that they're active in the program, that they have an open SNAP activity with dates that coincide with the month that you're looking at, and the SNAP activity has your program listed as the provider in the Provider tab. If all of your customers are listed and that's correct, fill out the column for 4334. The 4334 is a request for a full staffing. A full staffing means that you need to have a discussion with a provider manager to discuss their progress and participation in the program. If not required, tick the Not Required radio button. If required, tick the Required radio button. Some customers may not have the option to tick the Not Required button. That means that you're required to hold a full staffing about that customer. This occurs when a customer is consecutively enrolled in a single activity for 6 months, 9 months, or 12 months, respectively. Once completed, click the Partner Review Complete button. Do not fill out any information on the other 2 columns. Those columns are for IDHS staff to complete. You can close this tab now and return to the Staffing and Billing module. The last report is the Financial Report.
This applies to all SNAP programs.
If you don't see the month of the report that you are completing in the list, click Add Report. A pop-up box will appear and you can add a report for the month that you're completing the staffing for. Make sure that you add the total administrative expenditures, the indirect cost, and then the amount that you are claiming as a match. You should also add all of your support expenditures and any match that you may have for those.
The next section is for participant wages. Enter the total participant wages expended and the wage match amount. You may not have these in your contract. If so, just enter 0. The last section is the matching fund source. This is only for organizations that are providing a match. Those match dollars must be non-federal, so please enter the source of those funds.
You can also upload a copy of your EDF file here if you prefer. Once you hit submit, you are signing this document as an authorized representative of your agency. Once you're finished, go back to the Staffing and Billing module and reload the page by going back to the list and clicking on the date once more. You can also upload supporting documents here by clicking the Upload Supporting Documents button. You can choose a file from your computer and those can be viewed by provider managers or billing staff. Once you've completed all of your boxes and uploaded all of your supporting documents, click Submit Staffing Report. IDHS staff will review the reports and schedule a staffing meeting with you. Once the staffing is held and the provider manager clicks all of their buttons and approves the staffing report, that will lock all data for the month. So please ensure that all of your reports are accurate when you submit them the first time. If you need to make any changes during the staffing, please make sure you do that before the provider manager has clicked their Approve Staffing Report button.
Let's say you've completed your staffing packet and box 1 is all done. But, oops, I forgot to add a supportive service for someone. If I go in and add a clothing supportive service during the month that this staffing is for, after I have already completed that staffing, it will get added to the report. However, when we review the supportive services summary, you can see that there is a notification here. This is to notify the provider manager, workforce development, and billing staff that after we approved this report and signed it, there was an additional change made. When this report was marked approved by provider, the cost for clothing was $0. Then we added an additional $150 clothing cost, and it will show up with this notification. If you review this with your provider manager and they approve this cost, you can uncheck your box, recheck your box, and then click Partner Review Complete once again. That will clear the notification triangle so that your provider manager can move on with the staffing. Any notifications should be reviewed during the staffing. So if you make changes after your report is submitted, everyone knows what changes were made, and you can review those during your staffing and then submit your final report. As an example, I've added an additional clothing cost to the month of November to show you what it looks like when there is an override request. The maximum for clothing you can see here is $300, and we've requested an additional $200, which makes the total $350. That requires an override request on the maximum. You can see the service override is pending approval here. On the supportive services summary, you'll see if I reload this report that there is an additional change, so the red triangle notification shows up, and there is a pending service override, which is a yellow triangle. That is explained when you hover over each notification. If I uncheck my box for Stella Reed 213, you'll notice that the red triangle disappears because that has been resolved. However, the yellow triangle remains because my pending service override request has not been approved. Please make sure that override requests are all approved during the staffing process before your staffing and billing packet is sent to billing. If you need to message a manager in order to make that happen, please contact your provider manager and they can help you with that.
Workforce Development will first verify eligibility. They'll go into the Staffing and Billing report, review the 4333, and they will check the eligibility of every customer on the report. If there's a customer that has been determined not SNAP ENT eligible during the month of the report, they will mark them not SNAP ENT eligible. This will automatically send an email message and will flag them on the report. In order for the staffing and billing to be completed, this customer's record will have to be edited so that they are removed from the report and no services are being billed to IDHS for this customer, since customers who are not eligible for SNAP ENT services are not eligible for reimbursement.
Once your staffing and billing packet have been submitted and Workforce Development have verified the eligibility of all of the customers on your reports, your provider manager will schedule your staffing meeting. The provider manager should go into the staffing and billing module, and they will review each report. In the employment report, your provider manager is checking how many people gained employment during the month and also whether that employment is verified. They're also looking for 30-day, 60-day, and 90-day retention benchmarks. Although job retention now extends to 365 days for services, we still track the 30, 60, and 90-day benchmarks which require job retention check-ins as evidenced by a case note and employment verification. Once reviewed, your provider manager will click the Approved by Provider Manager button, and that report will be completed. Next is the Supportive Services Summary. After reviewing that report with you, your provider manager will compare it with the EDF that you have submitted. If everything is correct there, they will click the Approved by Provider Manager button. Next, your provider manager will review with you the 4333. All of the customers that have previously been marked as eligible by Workforce Development. You will discuss any customers that require a 4334 or a full staffing, and they will mark each individual customer as having been staffed. Finally, they will click the button that the staffing has been completed. This will trigger a case note by the provider manager. They can enter the case note that this staffing has been completed and any relevant notes related to your meeting. Finally, your provider manager will review with you your financial report for the month. They can then click the Staffing Complete button at the bottom of the report and save that report. After all reports and supporting documents have been reviewed and approved, your provider manager will click the Approve Staffing Report button. This button will lock the data for the month. Any subsequent changes by a provider will require the provider manager to unlock the staffing report and reapprove it before billing can approve the billing packet. After the billing manager has accepted the staffing and billing report for the month, no further changes are allowed at all, even with provider manager approval. In that case, an official billing amendment is required. That process is not currently able to be completed within ISETS, but may be a function that will be added soon. If you need to request staffing changes, please click the purple Request Staffing Changes button. This will notify your provider manager that you need to make changes after your staffing is completed. It's a good idea to contact your provider manager to let them know that you have made a request for staffing changes. Your staffing manager will then go into ISETS and either approve or deny your request to make changes. If your provider manager approves your request, they can reopen the staffing and then you can go in and make changes to your reports. Your provider manager can then approve all of your reports. Your provider let the billing manager know that it's okay for them to review your reports now. Finally, a billing manager will review all of your reports which have been approved by your provider manager and any supporting documentation, including your EDF. Billing will approve your report and they use that information to process your monthly payment.